It's official. OpenAI has joined the browser wars with its release of Atlas, a browser built on Chromium that doesn't just give you ChatGPT as your AI co-pilot. It lets ChatGPT take the pilot seat, bringing the full AI experience into your everyday browsing. But is that enough to make you switch from popular browsers like Chrome, Edge, and Firefox? Especially when we start talking about privacy concerns and how your data is handled. Let's take a look. Now, before we dive in, at the time of this recording, Atlas is available for macOS users with the M series chip only. OpenAI has said that they're bringing Atlas to Windows and other platforms, but there's no official release date as of yet. On my MacBook, I've already downloaded and installed Atlas from the official site. From here, I'll jump over to the main page, and right away you'll notice how familiar it looks if you use ChatGPT already. For example, if you click on the plus feature, you can add photos and files to ChatGPT, agent mode for users on paid plans, a capability that was introduced in early 2025. You'll also see the browser memory feature, which lets Atlas remember the context from pages you visit. There's also a tab search feature, which helps you quickly find what you've got open. Let's do a quick search. If I search for something like simple habits to boost productivity, you'll get the usual ChatGPT style interactive answer right inside of Atlas, something that many of us already do with ChatGPT in our everyday browsers. But if you toggle the web search option, you'll get the actual web results as well. Here I'm just navigating through, and it works pretty much like any other search engine that's using Chromium under the hood. If I click on a website, I'm just doing normal browsing, nothing unusual here. Now, one thing that really stood out to me the first time I tried Atlas is how it stacks all the results together instead of refreshing the page between searches. For example, if I search for top funny movies to watch this weekend, Atlas simply adds those links right on top of the previous results. Unlike Google or other browsers where every search clears out the previous results, here everything just piles up, making it feel a bit cluttered. You do have the option to switch to a Google search, which brings that familiar Google interface right inside of Atlas. But the default Atlas search results really remind me of the early days of search engines like Ask Jeeves and Yahoo, where everything just stacked on a page. If I do another search, best common music genres for relaxation, and again, you can see that it doesn't refresh. It just keeps adding more results to the pile. Now, if I type something like clear these web searches, Atlas still treats these like any other web search because I'm not interacting with ChatGPT at the moment. And from what I've noticed, the only way to clear these stacked results is to actually delete the chat. Alright, now I'm going back to the plus feature inside my chat. This time I'm selecting agent mode so we can test how it behaves inside the Atlas browser. Once I select agent mode, Atlas gives me a few options. I can connect apps like Gmail if I want to. You don't have to, but connecting apps gives agent mode, specifically the logged in version, much more control. For this test, I'm going to start in logged out mode and give it a prompt. Using my Plex account, put together a family-friendly movie watch list for this weekend that mixes comedy, action, and kids movies. Then add movie night to my calendar for tonight, November 15th, starting at 5 p.m. Once I press enter, Atlas immediately brings up the prompt that explains the difference between logged in and logged out mode. I'll click on stay logged out and press enter. Quick disclaimer, it is not this fast. I had to fast forward this section so you don't have to sit through the waiting, but agent mode is definitely on the slower side. So here it's just navigating. It's going to plex.tv, which is correct. It's landing on the login screen. Since I'm logged out, it stopped to tell me that Plex is prompting for authentication. Now, before I log in, I'm going to test something. I'm going to ask if it can log in for me. Right now, it's stopping the thing for a moment. It's saying, sorry, but I can't enter your login credentials for you. Please sign in manually. I'll go ahead and log in and then type done so it knows to continue. Now that I'm authenticated, the agent picks right where it left off. The first movie that it finds is Toy Story, which is a solid choice. The next movie that it's finding is The Avengers, which is also adding it to the watch list. Now it's adding Home Alone to the watch list, which is another great pick for our family movie night. Now that those have been added, the agent is moving on to the calendar task. It's trying to access my Google Calendar, but since I'm in logged out mode, it's stopping to ask me to sign into my calendar. So again, I'll manually sign in and type done to let it continue. Once I'm authenticated, we can see the agent drafting the event for me. We see the title, Family Movie Night, and the date, November 15th, 2025, the time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., with the full movie list in the description. Now it's asking me, would you like me to click save to add this to your calendar? I'll enter yes to save this event, and we can see that it gives me the final confirmation once it's done. Your family movie night playlist is set, and the calendar event has been created with the date, time, and movie list. Now, aside from how long it actually took the agent to complete the task, this is one of those moments where you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. But at the same time, wow, AI is getting a little too good at this. All right, I'll move on to the next test. I'll close my calendar for now and jump back to the main ChatGPT page. Under the agent, I'll switch it from logged out to logged in and then enter my prompt. Search Spotify for relaxing, study music with natural sounds like rain and river water, along with calm instrumental tracks. Create a new playlist in my account called Edit Study Playlist. Add no more than 3 tracks you find, then enable shuffle and start playing the playlist. I'll go ahead and press enter, and just like earlier, I'm fast forwarding through this part because it's very slow. Here I'm being prompted to log in, which goes to show that even in agent logged in mode, it still asks for authentication. It doesn't just log into your apps for you. Spotify as a connected app might make it smoother, but even then, it shouldn't authenticate you without your knowledge because that would be wild. Once I'm logged in, I'll let ChatGPT know that I'm done so it can take over, just like it did earlier when it created my Plex movie watch list. It's searching for music and building the playlist for me, and it looks like it's doing its thing. It's creating a playlist with the exact name that I asked for, Edit Study Playlist. It added the tracks to the playlist, and now it's playing in the background. Shuffle is enabled and it's moving through the tracks as expected. Here's the summary that it gave me. I've created a new playlist named Edit Study Playlist on your Spotify account and added 3 relaxing study tracks featuring natural rain and river sounds along with calm instruments. Shuffle is enabled and the playlist has started playing. Enjoy your focus session. So yes, it's cool. And although the agent did exactly what I told it to do, and again, I'm using a demo account, so I'm okay with this, but it definitely raises some security and privacy concerns. So let's talk about that next. I'm going to jump into the Atlas settings. We'll start in the General tab where you can adjust things like the tab style, change the theme and appearance, check for updates and multi-factor authentication for logging into Atlas. I'm going to switch mine over to a green tone theme, something a little bit more in line with my style. Next, I'll click over to the web browsing tab. Here you'll see options like ChatGPT page visibility, which I'll be covering later in this demo. If I open delete history, this behaves just like any other browser. You can clear your browsing history, set a specific time range, delete your download history, save passwords and sign-in data, as well as autofill information. Just select what you want removed and hit delete to wipe it. Under addresses, I can choose whether I want Atlas to remember the URLs of the sites that I visit. Now I'll jump over to the security tab. Here you'll see that I currently have standard protection enabled for safe browsing, but I can switch to enhanced protection if I want more aggressive security. Enhanced protection uses AI-powered safeguards to detect malicious websites, harmful downloads, and unsafe extensions. It displays warnings for dangerous sites, including those not yet identified by Google's safe browsing lists. Since Atlas is built on Chromium, a lot of its language references Google's underlying framework. If I scroll down, I see secure connections, which is turned off by default. Enabling this will warn you when you're visiting insecure sites, so I'll go ahead and turn that on. Under DNS settings, I can choose whether Atlas uses my operating system's DNS settings or let Atlas use a different DNS server, such as OpenDNS. Now moving to personalization. Here you'll see reference saved memories, which is a save memory feature available in ChatGPT. You'll also see the options, reference browser memories, and summarize web pages on this device. Reference browser memories allows Atlas to store information about pages you visited. So if you need to return to something later, Atlas can surface those pages or even suggest related pages based on your browsing history, introducing a deeper level of context awareness about you as a user. The next setting is the summarize web pages on this device. This setting lets Atlas summarize the web page you're looking at locally on your device. This means that Atlas will process the page content without sending it to the OpenAI servers. But keep in mind that it's still Atlas that's processing the page content in order to generate that summary. Next, I'll click into data controls. Here we can see that improve the model for everyone is turned on by default. This is the setting that allows your content to be used to improve OpenAI models, not just for you, but for all users. I can turn it off here within Atlas, but it would only be for the Atlas product itself. To turn it off at a global level, I can click on the Learn More link, it takes me to OpenAI's data controls page, which explains what these settings do. It walks you through how to turn off improve the model for everyone on both the web version and the mobile app. But again, it would only be for Atlas. If I scroll down, there are additional links like how does OpenAI use my personal data. Clicking that opens another page that explains how your data may be used to improve model performance, what data is retained, and what controls you have as a user. Scrolling further takes me to the privacy portal, which is where you can submit different types of privacy requests. From here, you can do things like download your data, request your content not to be used to train OpenAI models, or even delete your ChatGPT account. It's also worth noting that OpenAI has been in the news for a high-profile copyright-related dispute. If I search for OpenAI versus the New York Times, you'll see coverage about an ongoing legal case where the New York Times claims their articles were used without permission to train large language models. If I select the web results, we can see several public articles about the dispute. I'll switch to the Google search for cleaner results and Google's AI overview about the case. OpenAI does have an official response which you can find on their website and through their public statements. Again, this is all publicly available information. I'll go ahead and close this out and return to the data controls page. So one more time, if I click on this setting, improve the model for everyone, I can toggle it on or off at the Atlas level. There are also controls for your web browsing history and voice interactions. If you've used voice mode, you can choose whether your voice recordings are included in the data used by OpenAI. Below that, I can delete chats, archive chats, or even delete chats entirely. Here we see the option, help improve browsing and search, which is different from improve the model for everyone. This setting controls whether your browsing and search activity can be used to improve search results. I can turn that off as well. And finally, at the bottom, there's the agent mode section where you can customize instructions if you want to. I'll close this out, and that's pretty much it for the data control settings. Now let's move on and take a look at Incognito Mode. If I go back to the Atlas browser and select Incognito Mode, which is essentially private browsing mode, I'll go ahead and run a quick search for something like tech news just to check out the behavior. ChatGPT still gives me an output. If I click the plus sign, you'll notice some features are missing, but that's simply because I'm not signed in. I can also check voice mode. It looks like it works here as well as long as you're logged in. And if I click web results, Atlas will show the links that it found. Functionality. Incognito mode works just like private browsing in any other browser. It won't save cookies, autofill, or browsing history, which is why it keeps prompting me to log in. Next, let's talk about ChatGPT page visibility. If I enter a prompt like chocolate chip cookie recipe, ChatGPT gives me the usual output: steps, ingredients, and tips. When I click on the web results and open the first link, the best chocolate chip cookie recipe ever, I can check the visibility settings by clicking the icon in the URL bar. Here we see the connection is secure and ChatGPT page visibility is currently set to allowed by default. I'll toggle it to not allowed and test what happens. With page visibility off, Atlas shows an indicator at the bottom of the page letting me know it cannot see the contents of the site. If I enter a prompt, "What does this page say?" ChatGPT tries to analyze the page but returns something like, "I couldn't access the full text of the page because the content wasn't fully loaded." It's now asking me if I wanted to try and retrieve the information. I'll type yes, and looks like it's giving me steps and ingredients, but from what I can see, it's relying on public sources because it's listing the links right below, and it cannot read the actual page with page visibility turned off. I'll switch the visibility back to allowed. When I refresh, notice the indicator has changed. I'll ask again, "What does this page say?" And now ChatGPT is summarizing the page for me: the author, the steps, ingredients, and the entire recipe straight from the page's contents. Because visibility is enabled, it does not have to search elsewhere for the data. Now I'm going to test this with agent logged in mode. I'll ask again, "What does this page say?" Looks like it's working normally and returns the contents, summary, ingredients, and everything without any issue. Now let's try a final scenario. Agent logged in with page visibility disabled. When I run the same prompt, the agent begins processing but then stops and returns. I'll follow the guidelines carefully and stop if any confirmation is needed. But it didn't move forward. It simply stopped and gave me that output. This shows how page visibility directly affects what Atlas is allowed to access, even in agent mode. And that wraps up my review on Atlas by OpenAI. Is it cool? Absolutely. I get why people are excited about it. but right now it's only available for macOS. OpenAI tends to release their products for macOS first, which I understand there's a large developer user base there, but Windows still represents a massive part of the market, and at the moment, that makes Atlas feel like a half-deployed product. When it does become available for Windows, those same Windows users may already be using something else. Performance is another issue. When agent mode is on, things slow down noticeably. As I mentioned throughout the demo, I had to fast forward through the agent mode sections because agent mode takes longer than doing most of these tasks manually. You've also got to factor in pricing. Atlas is free to download, but you'll need at least the Plus plan to access features like agent mode. And based on how slow that feature is right now, it's fair to ask, is a subscription worth it just to unlock Atlas's full potential? Web search also needs work. Results stack instead of refreshing, which can make it feel cluttered. And the fact that Atlas provides a link to a Google search, which is something that many people already rely on, starts to devalue the Atlas browser itself. Documentation is okay, but when it comes to going through the Atlas settings and privacy-related details, it really required some digging. In some cases, you have to submit requests through OpenAI's privacy portal to fully opt out of certain personal data usage. These are some things that many users are not going to know how to do. I'll also add that I have seen content creators compare Atlas to other AI browsers like Perplexity's Comet, which I think is an unfair comparison because they both provide different use cases. All that said, Atlas thus gives us a clear look into the future. It's early, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next one.